Let's get one thing clear from the start. What feels like attention is not always love, and what feels like connection is not always real. When someone already has a wife or a girlfriend and still seeks you out, it can feel special at first. You might think, there must be something different about me, something stronger, but if you look deeper, if you strip away the emotions and the flattering words, what's really happening is far less romantic and far more revealing. This is not about love, it's about validation. Some people are constantly chasing a feeling, not a person. They want to feel desired, admired, wanted. And when the attention they're getting in their current relationship starts to feel normal or fades into routine, they don't work to rebuild it. They look outside for a new source. That's where you come in. Not as a soulmate, not as the one, but as a mirror reflecting back the version of themselves they want to see. When you respond, when you give them your time, your energy, your interest, it boosts something inside them. It reassures them that they're still attractive, still powerful, still capable of pulling someone new. And here's the hard truth. This has very little to do with you. It's not your uniqueness that's driving them. It's their need. You could be replaced by anyone who gives them that same attention. That's why the connection often feels intense but unstable. It's built on a temporary emotional high, not a solid foundation. They're not investing in you. They're feeding off the way you make them feel. Think about it. If someone truly valued connection, honesty, and loyalty, they wouldn't be dividing their attention like this. Real love requires presence, commitment, and integrity. But validation seekers avoid that depth because it demands accountability. It requires them to show up fully to fix what's broken instead of escaping it. And escape is easier. Chasing a new spark is easier. Getting admiration without responsibility is easier. So they create this illusion. They say things that sound meaningful. They make you feel chosen. But in reality, they're choosing a feeling, not a future. And the moment that feeling fades or the moment you stop feeding it the same way, their attention shifts again. Because the pattern was never about building something real. It was about sustaining their ego. If you really want to understand their behavior, don't listen to what they promise. Look at what they're maintaining. They're maintaining two worlds because both serve a purpose for them. One gives stability, the other gives excitement. And you, in that dynamic, become a role, not a priority. And once you see it clearly, once you recognize that this isn't about love, but about validation, everything changes because you stop questioning your worth and you start questioning the situation. And the moment you stop feeding someone's ego is the moment you start protecting your own. Now understand this. When someone keeps coming back to you while they already have someone else in their life, it's not because you are their first choice. It's because you are their escape. And there's a big difference between being someone's peace and being someone's distraction. Pay attention to when they show up. It's rarely when things are going great in their life. It's when they're bored, when they're frustrated, when something feels missing. You become the place they run to when reality isn't giving them the excitement or comfort they crave. That might feel meaningful at first, like you're the one they trust, the one they open up to. But look deeper. They're not coming to build with you. They're coming to temporarily feel better. An escape is convenient. It doesn't require commitment. It doesn't demand responsibility, and it doesn't challenge them to grow. You become the easy space where they can say what they want, feel what they want, and leave when they want, without the weight of real consequences. And that's exactly why it's dangerous, because it creates the illusion of connection without the substance of it. You might start to notice a pattern. They disappear and reappear. They give attention, then pull back. They make you feel important in one moment and distant in the next. That inconsistency is not confusion. It's control. It's the rhythm of someone balancing two worlds, making sure neither one collapses while they continue to benefit from both. And here's where it gets real. You can't build a future with someone who only visits you emotionally. A person who truly sees you as a priority doesn't squeeze you into the gaps of their life. They don't make you wait for their convenience. They don't keep you in a space where you're always guessing what you mean to them. When you matter, there is clarity. When you're an escape, there is uncertainty. The hardest part is that an escape can feel intense because it's built on stolen moments, secrecy, and emotional highs that come and go. It feels exciting, almost addictive. But intensity is not the same as importance. Just because something feels strong doesn't mean it's real or lasting. Fire burns bright, but it doesn't always stay. If someone truly wanted you as a future, they would create space for you in their life, not hide you in the corners of it. They would make decisions that align with choosing you fully, not halfway. But when you are just their escape, they will always return to where their real life is, and you will always be left in the waiting space. And the truth is, you deserve to be someone's destination, not the place they visit when they need relief. Because the moment you accept being an escape, you start settling for a role that will never grow into something real. And the moment you stop allowing yourself to be someone's escape is the moment you start becoming your own priority. Now look beyond the emotions for a moment and focus on the pattern, because I've never felt this way before, or you understand me better than anyone else. And in the moment it feels convincing. But the reality is, if they are capable of betraying someone they once chose, someone they once committed to, then the behavior you're seeing isn't special. It's consistent. Character is revealed through repeated actions, not emotional words. Anyone can say the right thing when it benefits them. Anyone can create a story that makes their choices seem justified. But when someone shows you that they avoid accountability, that they handle dissatisfaction by seeking attention elsewhere, that they prioritize their own desires over honesty, those are not temporary flaws. Those are patterns. And patterns, unless consciously broken, repeat. Ask yourself this: if one day you were in that official position, if you became the partner instead of the secret, what would actually change? The title might change, the roles might shift, but the mindset remains the same unless they've done real, intentional work to change it. And most of the time, they haven't. Because if they were truly working on themselves, they wouldn't be creating the same situation with someone new. People don't suddenly become loyal just because the person changes. Loyalty is a principle, not a reaction. It's something someone carries within them, regardless of who they're with. So when you ignore the pattern and focus only on how they treat you in certain moments, you miss the bigger picture. You see the highlights, but not the full story. And the full story is this: someone who manages multiple emotional connections at the same time is not building something real. They are maintaining options. And when a person lives in options, they never fully commit to one path. There's always an exit, always a backup, always a next. That's why recognizing the pattern is so important. Because once you see it clearly, you stop personalizing it. You stop thinking, maybe I can change them, or maybe it will be different with me. Instead, you understand that what you're experiencing is part of a cycle that existed before you and will continue after you, unless they choose to break it themselves. And the moment you accept someone's pattern is the moment you decide whether you want to become part of it or walk away from it. Now, this is where most people get caught, between what they hear and what they see. Because words can be incredibly convincing when they're wrapped in emotion. Someone can look you in the eye, speak with confidence, and tell you everything you want to hear. They can say, "You're different. I've never felt this way before. I'm going to fix everything," or "I'll leave soon." And for a moment, it feels real. It feels like progress. It feels like something is about to change. But if you step back and observe carefully, you'll notice something powerful. While their words keep moving forward, their actions stay exactly where they are. And that gap between words and actions is where the truth lives. Because real intentions don't need constant explanation. They show themselves through consistent behavior. If someone truly wanted to be with you, you wouldn't need long conversations to understand their feelings. You would see it in their decisions. You would see it in the risks they're willing to take, the changes they're actually making, and the clarity they bring into your life. Instead, what often happens is the opposite. The more they talk, the less they actually do. The more promises they make, the more you find yourself waiting, and waiting becomes the trap. You start justifying delays. You tell yourself maybe they need more complicated. Maybe they're trying in their own way. But time has a way of revealing truth. Because if someone can spend weeks, months, even longer telling you what they plan to do, yet nothing in their reality changes, then those words were never a plan, they were a comfort tool, a way to keep you emotionally connected without having to take real responsibility. Soxes, on the other hand, don't ask for patience. They are clear, visible, and undeniable. If someone leaves a relationship, you see it. If someone chooses you fully, you feel it without confusion. There is no guessing, no decoding, no mixed signals. But when you're stuck analyzing words, trying to interpret intentions, trying to hold on to promises, it means the actions are not strong enough to stand on their own. And here's the truth most people avoid. When someone says they will leave but stays, they are not stuck. They are choosing. Every single day they are choosing to maintain their current situation while keeping you emotionally available on the side. Not because they can't decide, but because this arrangement benefits them. That's why words can feel so powerful, because they create hope. And hope, when it's not backed by action, can keep you holding on far longer than you should. It makes you believe that something real is just around the corner, when in reality, nothing is moving. So instead of listening to what they promise, start observing what they protect. Because people don't hesitate when it comes to what truly matters to them. And the moment you stop believing words without actions is the moment you finally start seeing the truth clearly. At some point, you have to stop trying to make sense of the confusion and start recognizing it for what it really is. A sign that something is not right. Because when you are in a situation where you constantly feel unsure, where you're overthinking every message, every delay, every excuse, that's not complexity, that's lack of clarity. And lack of clarity is never accidental. It's created when someone truly respects you. They don't leave you guessing about where you stand. They don't put you in a position where you feel hidden, secondary, or uncertain about your place in their life. Respect shows up as honesty. It shows up as consistency. It shows up as making sure you don't have to question your value in their world. But when you're dealing with someone who already has a partner and still keeps you involved, clarity is the one thing they cannot afford to give you. Because the moment everything becomes clear, the situation falls apart. So instead, you get pieces. You get partial truths, half answers, and carefully controlled communication. Just enough to keep you emotionally invested, but never enough to give you real security. And over time, that uncertainty starts to affect you. You begin to doubt yourself. You wonder if you're asking for too much, if you're being impatient, if maybe this is just how things are supposed to be. But it's not. You're not meant to feel like a secret in someone else's life. You're not meant to accept a position where your presence has to be hidden or explained away. You're not meant to constantly question whether you matter or where things are going. That kind of emotional environment doesn't build love. It builds anxiety. And the most dangerous part is how slowly it happens. You don't notice it at first. It starts with small compromises. You accept less communication, less presence, less certainty, because you're holding on to the potential of what it could become. But the longer you stay in that space, the more normal it starts to feel. And once confusion becomes normal, you stop expecting clarity altogether. But clarity is not too much to ask for. It's the bare minimum. It's the foundation of anything real. Without it, you're not building a relationship. You're maintaining an illusion. Because real connection doesn't make you question your worth, it reinforces it. Real connection doesn't leave you in the dark. It brings everything into the light. So if you find yourself constantly trying to figure out what you mean to someone, that is already your answer. Because when someone values you, they don't create confusion. Remove it. They don't make you compete with uncertainty. They replace it with assurance. And the moment you start choosing clarity over confusion is the moment you start choosing yourself. At some point, everything you've seen, everything you've felt, and everything you've tried to ignore starts to come together into one clear realization. Nothing is going to change unless you do. Because the truth is, people will continue doing what benefits them as long as it's allowed. They will keep reaching out, keep saying the right things, keep maintaining the same cycle. Not because they're planning a future with you, but because the present situation works perfectly in their favor. And that's where the real shift happens. Not in them, but in you. Because real power is not in waiting for someone to choose you. It's not in hoping they'll finally leave, finally commit, finally become who they keep promising to be. That kind of power is an illusion. It keeps you stuck, dependent on a decision that isn't yours to control. Real power is when you stop handing over that control completely. It's when you decide that your worth is not something to be negotiated in someone else's complicated situation. Walking away is not easy. It doesn't feel strong in the moment. It feels uncomfortable. It feels uncertain. And sometimes it even feels like loss. Because you're not just letting go of a person, you're letting go of the idea of what you thought it could become. You're letting go of the hope, the imagined future, the emotional investment you've already made. And that's why so many people stay. They're not holding on to reality, they're holding on to potential. But potential has no value if it never becomes real. And the longer you stay in a situation that doesn't fully choose you, the more you slowly start to abandon yourself. You start lowering your standards, adjusting your expectations, convincing yourself that partial attention is enough. But deep down, you know it isn't. You know you deserve something whole, something honest, something that doesn't require you to compete for a place in someone's life. Walking away is the moment you draw that line. It's the moment you say, I will not accept less than what I know I deserve. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. Because self-respect is not just about how you see yourself, it's about what you allow. And here's what most people don't realize. When you walk away, you break the pattern. You remove yourself from the cycle that kept repeating. You stop being available for something that was never meant to grow. And in doing that, you create space. Space for something real, something clear, something that doesn't come with confusion or conditions. You don't lose when you walk away from the wrong situation. You regain everything that situation was slowly taking from you. And the moment you choose yourself is the moment everything finally starts to change.